On today's wrestling news, WWE pull a 180 on John Cena's heel turn, why Tony Khan hasn't launched a women's tag division yet, is AEW Dark returning, and has WWE quietly cancelled a show? Are you ready? Are you ready for the news time? Yes, my name is Phil Chambers and I am on my own today, no Gareth Morgan, so I'm going to try something a little bit different, just blast through a bunch of different stories. So let's get going. Last night on SmackDown, WWE have gone a full 180 on John Cena's heel turn. He is now a babyface again. He came out to start the show, and before he could say anything, out came Cody too, and then John Cena basically kind of went into everything that happened last week with the contract signing, and how it was the boot in the ass that he needed. He realized he made a mistake 5 months ago when he bought into someone else's idea of making shocking TV. The Rock. He wants to take the belt home with him. He still wants to do that after his last match, but not because he wants to ruin wrestling. He loves wrestling, and everybody knows that. He wants to take it home so that after he's gone, people don't forget about him. He was so hung up on how we might see him tomorrow that he didn't realize how stupid he was acting today, and that Cody forced him to realize it and come face to face with like who he really is, forced into a situation that'll kind of make him do that. And that August 1st, 2025, last night on SmackDown, is the day that John Cena returned to WWE, and that the only platinum rapper coming out to whip Cody's ass was gonna be him. God damn it. And then afterwards, Cody grabbed some beers and kind of welcomed back John Cena to WWE, and then they just had a drink and off they went. But they've done it. They have pulled the trigger on Cena's face turn, I guess. We all kind of expected this to happen sometime before he finishes his last match, which is going to be in December, and it's looking like a Saturday night's main event, which is going to be in Boston, Massachusetts, obviously his hometown. But I don't think anyone kind of expected it to be just yet, and right before SummerSlam on a SmackDown. It feels like the whole Cena heel turn, well, at first obviously it was shocking TV and it got the world talking, never really quite hit the highs that it kind of needed to as he was going through this, and it all just never really clicked in a massive way. So yeah, they've just basically pulled the plug and done a complete 180 on it, and now he's a face again. And they're going into this sort of Cody versus Cena, face versus face match to main event SummerSlam. So let me know down in the comments below. I am very intrigued what everyone thinks about this. Is it too soon? Should they have done this earlier? Is it like the right time and they just realized they kind of made a mistake and have gone back on it? I think WWE Unreal, I think the timing of this is very telling. I think they wanted to get that sort of story, the behind the scenes thing out before this, with the sort of humanizing view of John Cena in that as sort of the real guy just wanting to make good TV, and then to pull this like few days after the release of WWE Unreal, I think is very telling timing on WWE's part to just I guess right a seeming wrong that maybe some people within WWE were never hugely happy that it happened in the first place. But we will wait and see what this looks like at SummerSlam. I assume he's going to get his big Titantrons back and his colours and his big pompous entrances and things. And it's going to be the John Cena that we kind of all know from years and years and years back. So yeah, let me know down in the comments below what you think of this, because I am very intrigued to see what you think. But next, Tony Khan. He hasn't launched a women's tag team division, but there's been a lot of talk about it within WWE for a long time. Not WWE, within AEW. But why? Well, Wrestle Friends have a kind of scoop. They were talking to him with an interview, and he says that it is in the plans, but basically he has so many people injured that he just cannot do it at the minute. The women's casino gauntlet match, a quarter of that match came out of it injured in some way, shape or form. So in Tony's eyes, he kind of lost 25% of the women's division in one match. Now, it's not necessarily specifically down to the match itself. Mina Shirakawa had a broken hand, but Shuri needed sort of elbow surgery coming out of it, and Thunder Rosa announced that she was going to take a break to heal sort of multiple nagging injuries that had been going on for a while. But those three are all coming at the same time that Jamie Hayter and Harley Cameron and Riho are all injured. And also Hikaru Shida, Ruby Soho and Camille are all out due to a sort of variety of different sort of non-wrestling reasons. So there's a big chunk of that women's division that are out on injury at the minute. So it's, as much as it seems like it's a good time for the women's division in AEW. It's kind of hotter than it ever has been, arguably. And sort of obviously the top stars of sort of the Toni Storms and Mercedes Moné's smashing it. And it just feels like a better place for the division in total kind of thing. There's just not enough people to make a women's tag team division, and that is fair enough. I think once they've kind of sorted out a bunch of these injuries and got a bunch of people back, it'll be a very different conversation, because there'll be plenty of people that they can put in that division. But we'll have to wait a little while until we get all of these injuries and things sorted. So obviously, heart goes out to everyone that's injured. Never want to hear about that, and I hope they all get well very, very soon. But it's going to be interesting to see once it's all fully healed and everyone's coming back, what exactly Tony can do with a AEW Women's Tag Team division. But speaking of AEW, is AEW Dark returning? Now, this is also coming from his WrestleFriends interview. We haven't seen AEW Dark since 2023, when they cancelled it to kind of focus their attention on AEW Collision, obviously, when that was a brand new TV show. Dark, the whole point of it was sort of just filming the dark matches that they do anyway, to give sort of new people kind of reps and exposure on in front of crowds. But then they just put it all on YouTube and intertwined it with some storylines and things, and made it another show. It got really, really long for no apparent reason, but Tony Khan really liked it and is interested in bringing it back, so long as his media partners are happy with it. Obviously, anything he does sort of wrestling TV related needs to be cleared by sort of Warner Brothers Discovery and sort of HBO streaming and things, especially if it's going to be on YouTube and not on the HBO platform. They need to be happy with anything. So he said that as long as all the media partners are on board, he feels like it could come back, and he loves AEW Dark and has great memories of it. So yeah, let me know down below. Do you want to see the return of AEW Dark, or has AEW already got enough TV shows to be getting on with the likes of Ring of Honor and things like that, which seems to have kind of probably taken the place of AEW Dark in terms of the kind of pecking order of the roster over in AEW. So yeah, let me know. Do you want to see AEW Dark back on YouTube, or are you fine with everything that they're producing at the minute? Let me know. But speaking of cancelling shows, I guess, if you're a fan of 3-minute wrestling matches, I'm afraid I've got some bad news. Now, this is coming from the Observer newsletter, and Dave Meltzer is saying that he basically thinks WWE Speed has been kind of quietly cancelled in the background. The show hasn't been mentioned on WWE TV or social media over the last few weeks, and no new matches have been filmed since early July. Now, Meltzer speculated that the deal with X has just expired, and sort of no one thought it important enough to do an announcement about it. So there's no official word on the future of it and what's going to be happening. So it could come back. It could just be on a little hiatus while they're working out some deals in the background. Who knows? But the last match that was filmed for it was on July 8th, and it was Sol Ruka versus Alba Fire. So the last... Oh yeah, and they usually post twice a week, so they definitely would have had more since then. So it does seem like it's disappeared, and the last ever, potentially, WWE Speed champions could be Sol Ruka and El Grande Americano. So again, yeah, let me know down in the comments. Does anybody care about WWE Speed? I know I don't. And they never really treated it as a thing on WWE, like Raw or SmackDown. Like when the wrestlers were coming out, they barely even showed the belts or anything like that. So it seems like WWE didn't really care about it either. But did you? And would you welcome a return of WWE Speed? Let me know down below. Now just bosh through some more stories at the end here. Sneaky ones that I'm just going to add in. Triple H has been talking about WWE Unreal. No, I love WWE Unreal, but I would take everything on that show with a huge pinch of salt, because it's still WWE, and it feels like just an additional layer to kayfabe that wasn't there before. But Triple H was talking on ESPN First Take about how, well, obviously there's been like a lot of talk about how WWE sort of pulled the curtain back quite a lot for WWE Unreal, showing a lot of what happens in gorilla position and the agenting of matches and things like that. But one of the things that very much seemed very real, at the very least, was everything with Rhea Ripley. Now, Triple H thinks that this is a very good thing. He doesn't think how you can see this kind of larger than life character having like real life doubts and like self doubts and highs and lows, and going through things before the match, and then going out there and giving that level of performance that she gives. He doesn't know how you can't see that and it make you appreciate her more as a performer and an athlete. You can see the passion it takes to do this and just how much they love it and what they put into it. And he just doesn't feel like that can make you He feels like that would make you appreciate the performers on the show and the sport of wrestling and everything more, just seeing what goes into it. And I can't help but agree with him on this one, especially with the Rhea Ripley front. I think she comes across absolutely great in it. She just feels like a real person. And yeah, like the bits of her kind of having a bit of a panic attack before the Netflix debut, and then the performance that she would go out to give straight after that is like a ridiculous turnaround, and it's an incredible performance. But yeah, I love WWE Unreal. I love all WWE documentaries, all the ones going back through the WWE Network times. I love that they can just kind of say things and then it just becomes fact because they just said it on TV, and then it's like, well, it's a documentary, it must be true. It's not all true. But the snippets behind the scenes, everything about the things in Gorilla, all the little detail, the interactions of people like just straight after matches and chatting with people. I love getting those little snippets behind the scenes, and I just desperately want more of it. So I am all for WWE Unreal, and the more it kind of shines a light on these people, I think the more it humanizes them and the more people will connect with them, and the better the business will be going forwards. So I completely agree with Triple H on this one. But finally, we've got an update on Will Ospreay's injury. Obviously, he hasn't wrestled since AEW All In. He appeared on Dynamite to say that he's been sort of dealing with a herniated disc in his neck for a while, but that he believed he'd be back for Forbidden Door, basically. But Wrestling Observer Newsletter has come out, and Dave Meltzer thinks otherwise, let's say. He says that Ospreay has only recently been made aware of the severity of the nagging injury he had in his neck, which is a similar thing to what happened with Kevin Owens, except Kevin Owens' seems much more severe, as he's going to be out until well into 2026. But at the same time, Meltzer feels like Forbidden Door is too soon for an Ospreay return, especially with how he wrestles, and that sort of rushing himself back to the ring could have long-lasting implications. To him, obviously, the wrestling is a marathon, not a sprint, and you need to take care of your body, or, well, it's going to bite you in the ass going down the line. And the way that Ospreay wrestles, I feel like he just needs to take the time and get well and get this thing right before coming back. And there's no point rushing anything, because it'll just put him back on the injured list at some point. So, well, yeah, I guess we'll have to wait and see. It's entirely up to Ospreay, obviously. But yeah, well, thoughts with him as he sort of recovers from the injury and sort of gets back right. But yeah, that's the thing. We just want everyone to be 100% healthy when they come back and have as much longevity in this career as they possibly can. And Ospreay has done some things to his body that is not going to be kind to him in his later years, and so we don't want to make that any worse, I don't think, with the style that he wrestles. So yeah, that's it from me and the wrestling news. Let me know down in the comments below what you think of all of today's stories, especially the John Cena heel turn. Good thing, bad thing, shout it out down below. Follow me over on Twitter or Instagram or social medias, wherever. Fill my chambers, and yeah, click the video on the screen to continue on your YouTube journey and have yourselves a bloody good day.